The date was June 25th, 1911. A violent summer storm was tearing through the Estes Valley in Colorado. That kind of squall that turns the Rocky Mountains into a jagged silhouette against flashes of white lightning. Inside the hotel that one day would inspire the most famous horror novel of all time, we're in the Stanley Hotel. The lights flickered and died. The hydroelectric plant up on Fall River had failed, plunging the grand colonial revival hallways into absolute darkness. Elizabeth Wilson, the hotel's head chambermaid, was not a woman prone to fear. She was a practical, stern, and deeply loyal to Mr. F.O. Stanley. While the wealthy guest in the lobby murmured in annoyance, Elizabeth smoothed her apron, picked up a long brass matchstick holder, and began her ascent to the second floor. Her duty was simple: light the backup acetylene gas lamps in the guest rooms. The air in the hotel was usually crisp, smelling of pine and floor wax. But as she climbed the grand staircase, a different scent hung heavy in the stagnant air, a sweet, cloying odor that she couldn't quite place. It was faint, masked by the ozone of the storm and the smell of rain blowing against the window panes. She reached the west wing. The hallway was a tunnel of shadow. Every flash of lightning from the window at the end of the corridor cast long, stretching shapes that seemed to crawl along the wallpaper. Elizabeth stopped in front of room 217. The room had been unoccupied that night, but Mr. Stanley insisted every room be ready, every lamp lit, should a guest arrive late from the train station. She fished a key from her heavy ring. She turned the lock. The door creaked open. The smell was stronger here. It hissed in the dark, a low serpentine sound that Elizabeth mistook for the wind whistling through the sash. She stepped inside. The room was pitch black. She moved by memory toward the wall sconce. Just a draft, she whispered to herself, her heart hammering a rhythm she couldn't control. She struck the match. The flame flared, a tiny orange eye in the darkness. For a fraction of a second, the fire didn't just sit on the matchstick. It pulled away from her hand. The air itself seemed to inhale. The explosion was not a sound. It was a physical blow. The acetylene gas, which had been leaking from the fractured pipe and pooling in the ceiling, ignited with the force of a bomb. The floorboards disintegrated. The walls flew outward. In a heartbeat of searing heat and noise, Elizabeth was lifted off her feet. She wasn't just thrown. She was launched downward, crashing through the floor of room 217, plummeting into the McGregor dining room below. Silence followed, broken only by the tinkling of falling glass and the groans of the timber. Elizabeth Wilson did not die. When they pulled her from the rubble, her ankles were shattered, her uniform shredded, but she was alive. Mr. Stanley paid for all the medical bills, and she returned to work, serving the hotel until her death in the 1950s. But the story does not end with her death. Guests who stay in room 217 today report that Elizabeth is still there. She is not a benevolent spirit. She is a rigid Victorian chaperone who has no patience for impropriety. Unmarried couples sleeping in the bed often wake in the dead of night to feel a freezing, cold force physically wedging itself between them. Some men have reported waking up to find their bags packed and sitting by the door, an unseen force demanding they leave. And if you stand in the hallway of the fourth floor, just above where the explosion tore the building apart, listen closely. You won't hear the wind. You will hear the sound of children running, the ghostly echo of the hotel's past, and beneath it, the faint, hissing intake of breath just before a match is struck. The Stanley Hotel stands beautiful and white against the mountains. But do not let the facade fool you. In room 217, the gas is gone, but the fire still burns. Today you can stay at the hotel and sleep in room 217, which is the same room Stephen King stayed in that inspired him to write The Shining.